I'm Mothobi Mutloatse, a writer and a publisher.
How did you discover the story of the SS Mendi?
It's quite by accident. I was doing research on the life and times of the composer of the Sesotho version of our anthem.
That's the South African national anthem.
Yes, Nkosi Sikelel Morena Boloka Sechaba.
Yeah.
The name of the person was Moses Mphahlele, who was a writer, a poet, a composer, a teacher, an extraordinary kind of individual. And then in the back of his books, I found that he had been inspired by the singing of the Mendi, and that gave the basis to his composition of Morena Boloka Sechaba.
And so, what was the start of the voyage of the SS Mendi? There was a series of men came from South Africa to go to fight in the First World War. How did that come about?
Well, they were headed to France to go and help as part of the British Commonwealth to help the king defeat the Germans. And they were recruited as laborers and were not supposed to carry any guns.
Yes.
Yeah, because they
couldn't be trusted.
No, they couldn't be trusted with guns to fight even white men.
Right. And the ship, the SS Mendi, went first to a couple of places.
Yeah, it left Cape Town and stopped over in Nigeria and I think Sierra Leone. But the tragedy is that the white officers got off, the black men didn't.
Yes. And so the ship went on to
Southampton
and
to refuel, and then left for France via Portsmouth. And immediately after it left the mouth of Portsmouth, it was struck just a few miles away from the Isle of Wight by another ship, the Darrow, almost right in between the stern and I think where there was a group of men asleep,
right,
who were virtually entombed.
Yes. And the ship went down with
virtually 20 minutes.
Right.
And you will recall that was a very cold period, February 21st. And freezing. And
yes.
I think most of the men would have died out of, the coldness and maybe even the shock of it all.
Yes.
Yet others floated to safety, while I think a few dozen bodies were washed up the channel.
Yes.
To places like Belgium and Holland, where some of them are still buried.
Far away,
the bodies.
So how many people were on the boat and how many survived?
Almost like 869, but neither here nor there. And then I think there were about 10 or 20 white officers.
Yes.
And there were also nationals from 3 other African countries.
Yes.
So it's not just a black story, it's a human story.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because it comprised all the nationalities that you could think of.
And there are graves for these soldiers in both Southampton and in Holland?
Yeah, around in Hastings, around the south beaches of England. And then in Holland, they are also in group, sorry to say so, but in group graves.
Yes.
With only their first names.
Okay.
No background, no surnames.
Yes. So they are lost in a way.
They are lost in many ways, but they are found because we know where they are now.
Yes.
All we have to do is go and reclaim their souls. And that is part of my journey, to remember, not to forget them anymore. And we hope by the time we commemorate the centenary of the sinking of the Mendi in 2017, we would say they are home now.
And what is the significance of this incident for South Africa and South Africans?
The significance is that here were men prepared to take part in war, peace efforts that had nothing to do with them.
Yes.
They just heard the call.
Yes.
And they rallied in the hope that they would contribute to peace and reclaim a better humanity for themselves. They got neither.
Yes.
They were forgotten.
And your sense was that they would come back feeling that they were different people?
Different people would be treated differently by the British government. But they were forgotten, were not even given war grants, which is something that was afforded all the other British subjects.
And the war grants were what? They were sums of money that were...
Sums of money that we would get as almost like a compensation for having taken part, and also a permanent thank you for assisting. Yeah. But for instance, their pay then was in between £3 a month. 2 was repatriated every month back home, and £1 they kept for their own needs.
Yeah.
In their death, that they got neither their monthly nor a kind of pay the families were expecting.
So it's a sorry tale.
It is tragic because even the current democratic government of South Africa has forgotten them. They may make amends by, or even make a reference to the Mendi Award, or even the Bravery Awards, or even a, let's say, symbolic remembrance on the 21st of February every year, but nothing tangible.
Yes.
The descendants of the fallen men are still crying out for help.
Yeah.
But nobody is listening, except for a few of us who are saying they can't have died in vain.